Mike Dutka now on the vault. One of the most experienced members of this USA team. Competed in their World Championship team just a couple of months ago where they finished 5th. A great result over in Lausanne.
And a beautiful attempt there at a double front. Starting very high. Ran out of a little bit of steam, but that's one of the most difficult vaults that the men are performing today. It's becoming more and more popular. Here we are. Perhaps tucks his knees too early on the horse, and as a result lacking in rotation at the end. He really needed to take his heels a little bit further over at the beginning, get a better start position.
It certainly is a very spectacular looking vault, and penalised for the back to the floor. Well, the US men's team haven't been performing too well on this apparatus. What can Mike Dutka do?
Very difficult for the men to build their start score up to 10. Need a lot of combination work. Layout front, layout full, 1.5. That's a good combination. Makes an error at the end of the 1.5, having to jump forwards quite a bit. Whip, 1.5 twist back, full twist forwards, and once again using that combination work very cleverly. And a press to handstand, a bit closed in that planche position. Need to have the hips fully extended. Yes, he's choosing good elements here, but he's not really technically performing them perfectly each time. So the bonus points that he's picking up on the elements themselves, he's losing on the execution, and once again outside of the floor. So each of those rows has some technical problem. In theory his start score's quite high, but in practice it's not. So there's that layout front, full twist forward, 1.5 twist, but low on the landing, a big leap forwards. Double salto, full twist, squatting heavily on the landing, large step backwards and out of the floor.
Well, despite the errors, Dutka picks up an 8.6. That 1-2. Back to the pommels, Mike Dutka. At 19. We expect a lot from Dutka, but he is a relative newcomer to the senior men's team. Sure, he'll be a core member in the lead up to Sydney 2000.
So opening there with very difficult combinations on that one pommel handle, picking up the pace a little bit here, looking confident. Oh, and he's messed it up. That's a shame, because that routine was really swinging nicely, and that's a real danger part of the routine. It's quite often we see a gymnast lose it about 2/3 the way through the routine. Their arms start to get a little bit tired. The rhythm can go a little bit, and before you know it, they're off the side.
And Dutka just taking his time here to refocus, concentrate on the remainder of the routine. Very important. He picks it up cleanly and finishes it off well.
Good amplitude on those scissors. Yep. Well, a disappointing routine for him, but it had a lot of difficulty, a high start score. So that's why these gymnasts like to have these international competitions regularly. They don't take any of their competitive skills for granted, because it's a skill all in itself. Flares, taking it through a little bit low through the handstand at the very end, doesn't take it right up through vertical, just comes down a little bit too early.
Well, disappointing for Dutka, but a 9 despite the fall. That high start score helping all we've seen on the horizontal bar. Now the Americans are finishing on the rings. Mike Dutka vaulted on the pommel horse. Needs to finish strongly, remembering the Americans lead the Australians in the team, but only by 2 points, so the pressure's still on.
Opening with a nice Maltese cross and straight into a second one. That's so hard to do. And an inverted cross. His shoulders need to come down level with the ring, so needs a little bit more on that. Controlling the rings relatively well. Gazorki, and full twisting double salto. Looks a little bit out of control in the second half of that routine, just perhaps rushing a bit. It hasn't really been his night.
Yes, looking a little shaky through a lot of those moves.
Here's that Maltese cross. He does that so well and swings forward straight into a second one. Needs to hold it for 2 full seconds, so a touch short on the second one. And there's the Gazorki. It's like a double back, holding onto the rings and into his double salto full twist.
So an 8.1 for Dutka, which could just